Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. The sun hung low in the late afternoon sky, casting a warm, golden hue over the tranquil suburban neighborhood. Anna eased her car onto the quiet street, the stillness broken only by the hum of her engine. In the passenger seat sat David, her lover, exuding a calm confidence that counterbalanced Anna's underlying tension. The evening felt like a rare and precious gift, time stolen for just the two of them. As she turned into the driveway, a playful smirk danced across her lips. "Philip took the kids to his parents' place this morning," Anna said, her tone light and expectant. "We've got the house all to ourselves for the next 2 days." David let out a soft chuckle, leaning closer. "Finally," he murmured. "Feels like we've been waiting forever for this moment." Anna opened the door to her home, her hand lingering briefly on the knob. She called out into the silent space, "Kids? Philip?" Only the echo of her voice replied. Turning to David, she offered a knowing smile. "Just as I hoped, completely empty," she said, satisfaction lacing her words. David followed her inside, taking in the cozy interior scented faintly with lavender. He set his bag down near the entrance and met her gaze with a grin. "This is going to be the best evening we've had in ages," he said, slipping an arm around her waist. "No interruptions," Anna agreed with a laugh, her eyes glinting with mischief. "But let me double-check. Philip can be forgetful." She reached for her phone, dialing his number as she paced. The line rang a few times before going to voicemail. "No answer," she said with a shrug. "He's probably busy wrangling the kids." Turning back to David, her smile brightened. "It's just us now. Let's make the most of it." David wandered into the kitchen, settling into a chair with a contented sigh. "I have to hand it to you," he said warmly. "You pulled this off perfectly. I thought we were stuck with another quick coffee meetup this morning." Anna was about to respond when her eyes caught something unusual. A blanket lay crumpled on the sofa, disrupting the otherwise tidy room. Her brows furrowed in confusion. "That's strange," she muttered, moving toward the couch. "What is it?" David asked, straightening up. Anna picked up the blanket, her fingers brushing its soft fabric. "Philip always folds things before he leaves," she said, unease creeping into her voice. "Why would he—" Her words faltered as the blanket shifted, revealing Philip, her husband, rising from the couch. His gaze locked onto hers, sharp and unyielding, his expression a storm of quiet rage. "Surprise!" Philip said, his voice a chilling monotone. Anna staggered backward, her hand flying to her mouth. "Philip!" she stammered, her voice trembling. What are you doing here? You said you were going to your parents." Philip stood, his full height imposing as his dark eyes flicked between Anna and David. "Plans change," he said icily. "Now why don't you explain what's really happening here?" Anna's heart pounded as she tried to hold her ground, smoothing her dress nervously. "Philip, it's not what you think," she began, her voice quaking. "David and we're just friends." "Friends," Philip repeated, his tone heavy with mockery. His arms crossed over his chest, his skepticism palpable. "Yes," Anna insisted quickly, glancing at David for support. "He just came over for coffee to catch up, that's all." David nodded awkwardly, his hands gripping his knees. "Yeah, just coffee," he echoed, his voice barely steady. "Nothing more." Philip's cold gaze bore into them. "Coffee," he said, his voice rising with incredulity. Funny, because when you walked in, Anna, I distinctly heard you say it was just the two of you tonight. No interruptions. Anna froze, her mind scrambling for an explanation. A nervous laugh escaped her. "Oh, that?" she stammered. "It was just a joke. Right, David? A harmless joke?" "Exactly," David said, nodding too enthusiastically. "We always joke around like that. Nothing serious." Philip's expression hardened, the tension in the room thickening. "Harmless," he repeated, his voice cutting. "You're both terrible liars." Anna's legs threatened to give way beneath her as Philip's fury weighed down on her. She clung to the back of a chair for support. "Philip, please." "Enough!" Philip barked, his voice low but crackling with anger. He strode to the mantel and opened a cabinet, retrieving a small wooden box. Its polished surface gleamed ominously in the dim light. Anna's stomach churned as he set it on the table and pulled a pair of pliers from his pocket. The metallic glint sent a jolt of dread through her. "Philip, don't!" she begged, her voice breaking as she stepped toward him. "Quiet!" he snapped, freezing her in place with his glare. David sat paralyzed, his hands clenched in his lap. "Philip, let's talk." "Not another word," Philip snarled, his voice slicing through the room. The suffocating tension pressed in on all of them, the air heavy with the weight of what was to come. Without a word, Philip seized Anna's wedding ring from the table, holding it firmly between the jaws of a pair of pliers. His grip tightened, and with a sharp snap, the gold band twisted and broke in two. Anna gasped, her hand flying to her mouth as the mangled ring fell into the trash can beside him. "Philip, stop!" she cried, her voice breaking under the weight of her tears. "That was our... Our what?" Philip interrupted, his tone like ice. "Our bond? Our promises? Don't make me laugh, Anna. You destroyed all of that long ago." Without hesitation, he reached for his own ring. The pliers bit into the metal and another snap echoed in the tense room. The shattered ring joined Anna's in the trash, the sound final and heavy. The silence that followed was oppressive, broken only by Anna's quiet sobs. Her voice trembled as she asked, "Why are you doing this?" Philip's face twisted with anger and betrayal, his eyes burning with emotion. He leaned closer, his voice cutting through her sorrow. "Why?" he spat bitterly. "Because you ended it already. I'm just making it official." Straightening, he fixed his steely gaze on both Anna and David. His voice was calm, but the restrained fury beneath it was unmistakable. "Leave my house, both of you, now." Anna froze, her face a portrait of disbelief. Then, like a dam breaking, her anger surged. "You can't just throw me out of my house!" she screamed, her voice shrill with rage. "I have just as much right to be here as you do." David raised his hands in a gesture of peace, his voice careful. "Philip, let's not escalate this further. We're all upset. Maybe we can talk." "Talk?" Philip's voice lashed out, silencing David's attempt at reason. His face was a mask of contempt as he turned to Anna. "You brought him into my home, our bedroom, and now you want a civilized discussion? Are you out of your mind?" "We're not lovers," Anna shouted, stepping closer, her fists clenched. "But if you're so desperate to believe that lie, fine. Let's make it true. Right here, right now. David and I will give you a show you'll never forget." David went pale, his voice trembling as he tried to intervene. "Anna, stop this. This is madness." "Don't you dare try to calm me down," Anna snapped, turning her fury momentarily on David before refocusing on Philip. Her face flushed with anger as she said, "You think you can control me? That you get to decide who I see, where I go, what I do? You don't own me." Philip's expression hardened, his voice eerily calm. "You've lost all sense, Anna. This is your last warning. Leave my house and don't come back." Turning, he strode to the closet, retrieving a baseball bat. The faint scrape of wood against the frame was chilling. With deliberate precision, he pointed the bat toward the door. "Go, now. Tomorrow you'll get divorce papers. Be grateful if I don't make this worse for you." David's courage faltered as his eyes darted to the bat. "Anna, let's leave," he urged, pulling at her arm. "This isn't worth it." Anna's fury hardened into cold defiance. Her voice dropped to a venomous whisper. "You'll regret this, Philip. For the threats, the intimidation, everything. Mark my words." Philip's hand remained steady, pointing toward the door. "Out," he repeated. Finally, David managed to tug Anna toward the exit. She allowed herself to be dragged away, but not without a final seething glare. "You'll pay for this," she hissed, slamming the door behind her. The sound reverberated like the final nail in the coffin of their marriage. The car ride was cloaked in tense silence. When they finally pulled into the lot of a dimly lit bar, the neon signs outside casting fractured reflections on the windshield, the weight of the night settled between them. Inside, Anna clutched her drink with a white-knuckled grip. "Who does he think he is?" she fumed. "Threatening me like that? He has no right." David sat silently, his untouched drink in front of him. Rubbing his temples, he replied in a weary tone, "Anna, we need to take a step back. This went too far." Her glass hit the table with a sharp thud. "You're siding with him now?" she snapped, her voice sharp with disbelief. "After everything?" "I'm not taking sides," David said, his voice steady but tired. "I'm saying you need to be smart. Philip's serious about the divorce. If this goes to court, you have to be prepared." For a moment, Anna's anger faltered, replaced by unease. "Do you really think he'll go through with it?" David nodded solemnly. "He will, and if he does, we need a plan." Anna leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. Divorce hadn't been part of her plan, but now it loomed large, an unavoidable battle. Across the table, David leaned closer, his tone shifting to something quieter, almost calculating. "You deserve better than this, Anna," he said, watching her intently. Anna didn't reply immediately, but her grip on her glass tightened. Her anger was giving way to determination. The wheels of conflict had been set in motion, and she was already preparing for the fight to come. Philip's actions that evening were a deliberate affront. His dismissal of Anna, their marriage, and all her sacrifices was undeniable. Anna slammed her glass down on the table, her face set in a mask of steely resolve. "You're right," she declared, her voice sharp. "I deserve better, and he won't walk away from this without consequences." David leaned forward, his voice calm yet resolute. "If he's aiming for a divorce, you need to be ready. His anger will make him reckless. He'll try to take everything, house, money, even the kids. But you don't have to let him win." "You've put so much into this marriage," David continued, his words deliberate. "Any court will see that. You've been the foundation of his success." Anna eyed him suspiciously. "What are you suggesting?" Lowering his voice, David replied with measured intensity. "I'm saying you need to fight back. Hard. Get a lawyer who won't back down. Show the court how much you've contributed to this marriage. Philip's success didn't happen without you." She considered his words, her brow furrowed. "You really think I could take custody? Keep the house?" David's lips curled into a small, confident smile. "Absolutely. You're the stable one here. Philip's temper will work against him. Last night was proof of that. The judge will see it too." Anna's eyes sharpened, her determination building. "So you're saying I should take everything? The house, the money, the kids?" David shrugged, his tone even. "Why not? You deserve it all. And think about it. Without Philip, you'd finally have the freedom to live life on your terms. No one to depend on. A bitter smile tugged at Anna's lips. No one to depend on, she echoed. Not even him. David nodded, the weight of his suggestion hanging in the air. Exactly. She leaned back, letting out a dry laugh. You've really thought this through, haven't you? I just want to see you happy, Anna, he said softly. You've given everything to someone who didn't appreciate it. Now it's your turn to take care of yourself. Anna stared at him for a long moment, then drained her glass and set it down with finality. All right, she said firmly. I'll do it. He's going to regret this. The next morning, Anna's phone buzzed. Answering it briskly, she heard a measured voice on the line. This is Jack Forrester, Philip's attorney. He's asked me to deliver the divorce papers. When would be a convenient time for us to meet? Anna's chest tightened, but her tone was steady. This afternoon at the cafe on Main Street. At 1 p.m., Anna entered the cafe, spotting Forrester seated at a table. Without a word, he handed her a thick envelope. These are my client's terms, he said, his voice devoid of emotion. Anna's anger surged as she scanned the documents. Philip was demanding the house, most of their assets, and full custody of the children. Slamming the envelope shut, she glared at Forrester. Tell your client he's dreaming if he thinks he'll get this, she snapped before walking out, fury simmering beneath her calm exterior. Back at David's apartment, she flung the papers onto the table. He wants everything, she spat, pacing the room in frustration. David remained composed, leaning casually against the counter. Then hit back even harder. Gather evidence of everything you've done for him, for the marriage. If he wants a fight, give him one. In the days that followed, Anna threw herself into building her case. With David's unwavering support, she tracked down a formidable divorce attorney, Rachel Carter, known for her unrelenting dedication to her clients. During their first meeting, Anna laid bare her story, portraying Philip as controlling and volatile. He's aggressive, she said, her voice shaking. He once threatened me with a baseball bat. Rachel listened intently, jotting notes with precision. We'll focus on his behavior and emphasize your role as a caring, stable parent. Securing custody of the children will be our top priority. David stayed on the sidelines, quietly savoring his influence over Anna's decisions. In his mind, he envisioned their future, a victorious, independent Anna by his side, enjoying a life free of Philip, but funded by his wealth. He knew better than to reveal these thoughts, keeping his demeanor supportive and selfless. The courtroom buzzed with tension as Anna and Philip faced each other for the first time. Anna sat beside Rachel, her exterior calm despite the turmoil within. Across from her, Philip exuded composure, with Jack Forrester projecting a quiet air of control. Anna's testimony painted a vivid picture of Philip as an overbearing and unstable husband. She recounted his threatening behavior, including the night with the baseball bat. I've poured everything into this marriage, she said, her voice quivering, but his anger and need for control made it unbearable. Rachel amplified Anna's claims, portraying her as a devoted mother and supportive spouse. My client has been the backbone of this marriage, standing by Philip through everything. Now he seeks to strip her of what's rightfully hers. We won't let that happen. Forrester countered with a cold, calculated approach, presenting damning evidence, including texts, photos, and witness testimony. He laid bare Anna's affair with David. Mrs. Anna portrays my client as an abusive husband, but the evidence tells another story, Forrester argued. She violated the sanctity of their marriage by engaging in an affair within their shared home. Her actions speak louder than her words. Jack Forrester began his argument by meticulously dissecting the financial history of the marriage. Contrary to Anna's claims that she had shouldered the burden of supporting the household, the evidence presented told another story. Financial records detailed how Anna had spent thousands of dollars on David, her companion, covering costs ranging from extravagant gifts and lavish dinners to the rent for his apartment. Transitioning from the finances, Forrester shifted attention to Philip's character, unveiling glowing testimonials from those who knew him best, friends, neighbors, and colleagues, all attesting to his reliability, calm demeanor, and unwavering dedication as both a husband and father. Philip Trenton embodies integrity, Forrester declared with conviction. Even in the face of betrayal, he did not take vindictive actions such as freezing joint accounts. Instead, he ensured that Anna had the financial means to secure legal representation. His actions have been consistently fair and restrained, even under these extraordinarily painful circumstances. The courtroom was gripped by silence as Forrester continued. This is not a man who seeks to dominate or control. This is a man who has been wronged yet remains steadfast in prioritizing his children and preserving what belongs to his family. As the trial progressed, Forrester's methodical approach began to dismantle Anna's narrative. The weight of irrefutable evidence eroded her confidence, and her once composed exterior began to falter. Meanwhile, David, seated inconspicuously at the back of the courtroom, watched in despair as his aspirations of a luxurious life with Anna disintegrated under each damning revelation. Tension in the room escalated as Anna's attorney, Rachel Carter, confronted her during a recess. Frustration sharpened Rachel's tone. "Why didn't you tell me he had all of this evidence?" she demanded, her voice low but firm. "I didn't think he did," Anna replied weakly, her complexion pale. "I didn't think any of it would come to light." "Well, it has," Rachel snapped, flipping through her notes in exasperation. "And it's obliterating your case." Forrester, undeterred, subtly turned the court's attention to Anna's motivations. "Your Honor," he began smoothly, "we must examine the financial relationship between Mrs. Anna and Mr. David. With no stable income, Mr. David is entirely dependent on her. This raises important questions. Is their connection truly rooted in love, or is it a calculated effort to secure a disproportionate share of the family's assets to the detriment of the children?" The judge maintained a neutral expression, but Anna felt the atmosphere shift. After weeks of argument and testimony, the judge finally delivered a ruling. "Upon careful review of the evidence," the judge stated, "it is clear that Mr. Philip has consistently prioritized the well-being of his children and the stability of the family home. Consequently, primary custody of the children and ownership of the family residence will be awarded to Mr. Philip." Anna's world shattered. She barely registered the remainder of the ruling until the judge addressed her directly. "Mrs. Anna will retain her personal vehicle, a portion of the shared assets, and specific items from the marital home. While this constitutes a smaller share of the estate, it is equitable given the circumstances." Rachel had salvaged what she could, but the decision was a significant defeat. Philip left the courtroom with a calm but triumphant demeanor, satisfied that his children's future was secured. In stark contrast, Anna and David departed in stunned silence, the gravity of their loss sinking in. Back at David's modest apartment, the weight of the judgment settled heavily over them. "This wasn't supposed to end like this," Anna murmured, staring blankly at the floor. "We'll figure something out," David replied. though the uncertainty in his voice betrayed his own doubts. As the weeks unfolded, Anna's life took a grim turn. She permanently relocated to David's cramped apartment, her aspirations of wealth replaced by a stark reality. Weekends with her children, granted through visitation rights, became her only source of solace. Philip, ever composed, ensured the children were prepared for her visits, keeping their interactions civil but distant. Though Anna cherished her time with her children, she felt an ever-widening gap between their worlds. Philip's stable environment provided them with consistency and comfort, while Anna's visits seemed like fleeting disruptions. Meanwhile, cracks in David's veneer of support began to appear. He grew more distant, and the burden of unpaid bills mounted. One day, Anna logged into her bank account and froze in disbelief. Her remaining funds were gone. That evening, she confronted David. "Where's my money?" she demanded, her voice trembling with anger. David avoided her gaze, stammering excuses before admitting the truth. He had gambled the money away. "I was trying to win it back," he offered weakly. "It just didn't work out." This betrayal was the breaking point for Anna. As she absorbed the magnitude of her loss, David packed his belongings and disappeared overnight, leaving behind only a brief note of apology. Left alone, Anna was consumed by grief and regret. She threw herself into her job, struggling to make ends meet. Her weekends with her children became her only lifeline to the life she had once known. One Sunday, as she dropped the children off at Philip's house, she lingered at the door. Philip opened it, his expression neutral yet courteous. "Philip," she began softly, her voice wavering, "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything. I know I've caused so much pain and I pay for it every single day." Philip studied her, his gaze steady but guarded. Compassion flickered in his eyes, tempered by an unyielding resolve. "I've forgiven you, Anna," he said after a moment. "But we can't go back. Too much has changed. This arrangement is what's best. For me, for the kids." Tears streamed down Anna's face as she nodded, realizing that any hope for reconciliation was futile. All she could do now was live with the consequences of her choices and face each day, burdened by the weight of her regrets. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.